All right, let's dive in. Today we're exploring the mystical world of Aleister Crowley,
Oh, Crowley.
specifically excerpts from his work,
Okay.
The Heart of the Master.
Interesting.
Now, Crowley was this occultist and writer from the early 20th century.
Ah.
He was known for these mystical visions, philosophical pronouncements,
Yeah.
and he even had guidelines for self-development,
I see.
all kind of wrapped into one dramatic package.
He was a bit of a showman, wasn't he?
Yeah, definitely.
But, beneath all that,
Yeah.
Crowley was really wrestling with some pretty fundamental questions
Mm-hmm.
about willpower, the nature of reality,
All right.
and, really what it means to truly know yourself.
Yeah, so our mission today is to try to break down
Okay.
some of Crowley's denser ideas.
All right.
We're going to ascend the holy hill of his philosophy, so to speak, and see what treasures we can unearth that might be relevant to our lives today.
Sounds good. Lead the way.
All right, so Crowley starts off with this really vivid vision on the holy hill. Picture this bleak landscape, shrouded in fog, like it's the aftermath of some epic battle.
Wow.
There are all these figures there, almost lifeless, lost in a state of despair. And then into this scene of defeat comes a voice,
Okay.
a captain announcing, "A star in the west."
A star.
Yeah, it's a beacon of hope, a sign that even in those really dark moments, a new perspective can change everything.
That's hopeful.
It is, but here's where it gets interesting.
Okay.
Some of the figures see this star not as a good thing,
Oh.
but as a threat,
Huh?
something to be feared.
Really?
And it's almost as if their fear, conjures up these monstrous shapes,
Oh, wow.
the broken specters,
Broken specters.
crawling on the fumes of this marshland.
It's powerful imagery.
It really is. And Crowley seems to be saying that what we perceive as monstrous, what we're so afraid of,
Yeah.
is often just our own fear projected outwards.
I see. A distortion of reality.
Exactly. It's like how you interpret a shadow in the dark. It can seem terrifying until you see what's actually casting it.
I see. It's all about perspective.
Yeah, and that's where the perspective shifts in Crowley's vision.
Okay.
The narrator, who's initially afraid, realizes that these broken specters are just these distorted reflections cast by the rising sun
Interesting.
on something atop the mountain.
So what is it?
Well, it turns out to be the master, radiating light from the top of a pyramid.
The master.
Yeah. Crowley goes into a ton of detail about the master's appearance.
Like what?
Okay, so he's got this golden helm,
Uh,
a black diamond on his forehead,
In-
symbols of the sun, an amber rod,
okay.
and even an amethyst lotus.
Wow, that's a lot of symbolism.
It is. It's like he's trying to pack a whole philosophy into this one visual.
Yeah, I can see that.
Like that black diamond, for example.
Yeah.
It really stood out to me.
What do you think it means?
Well, I don't know. It's like a symbol of the unknown or the void, maybe even the potential for both good and bad. It reminds me of how the things that scare us can also have so much potential for change.
That's an interesting thought.
What do you think?
I think you're onto something. Crowley often uses symbols
Yeah.
to represent this duality,
Mhm.
this idea that opposites are actually connected.
Right.
And that black diamond right there on the master's forehead,
Yeah.
the seed of awareness,
Okay.
could very well be pointing to that.
And it gets even more interesting because surrounding the master are 4 living creatures.
4 living creatures.
Yeah, a lion, a buffalo cow, a babe, and a golden eagle.
Okay, that's pretty wild.
And each one of them makes a pronouncement.
What do you mean?
Like they're revealing these different aspects of achieving mastery.
I see, like different paths.
Exactly. So the lion speaks of strength,
Okay.
the cow, nourishment,
Yeah.
the babe, innocence,
Interest.
and the eagle, spiritual elevation.
Wow, so it's like Crowley's saying that true mastery isn't just about one quality.
Yeah.
It's about cultivating a balance within yourself.
Right.
You need that strength, that discipline,
Yeah.
but you also need that ability to nurture,
Yeah.
to maintain a sense of wonder,
Yeah.
and to strive for something higher.
I get the strength and the discipline part,
Okay.
but how does a buffalo cow represent nourishment?
Well, think about it. A cow provides sustenance. It nurtures.
Okay.
So in this context, Crowley could be talking about nourishing ourselves,
Yeah.
not just physically, but emotionally and spiritually too.
I see.
To seek out those experiences and knowledge
Yeah.
that feed our souls.
So it's about taking care of yourself along the way.
Exactly. And as we go deeper into the heart of the master,
Yeah.
we'll see these themes even more developed.
Yeah.
through the master's teachings.
Right.
We'll come to something called the 10 secret joys of the master.
10 secret joys.
Yeah, they're like these pronouncements that are almost like windows
Okay.
into Crowley's philosophy.
All right. Right.
And trust me, these are anything but straightforward.
I bet. Give me an example.
Okay, well, one that really grabbed my attention was this. Thou art that which thou choosest to think thyself, immune to all, for it is nothing but a point of view.
Whoa, that's a mouthful.
It is, but it's basically saying that our reality is shaped by our thoughts.
Okay.
So by choosing our perspective,
Yeah.
we can become immune to all that negativity out there.
So if I just think I'm a millionaire.
Hold on.
Yeah.
It's not quite that simple.
Oh.
I think Crowley's getting at this idea that our perception, it really shapes our reality.
Okay.
You know, if you're always focusing on what you lack,
Yeah.
that's what you'll experience.
Right.
But if you cultivate this mindset of abundance and possibility,
Okay.
you're much more likely to attract those things into your life.
So it's about aligning your thoughts with what you want to create.
Exactly.
Not just wishing it into existence.
Right. And this ties into another one of the master's pronouncements.
Okay.
The necessity of the universe is the measure of thy righteousness.
Okay, that one's a bit over my head.
Yeah, it's a tough one.
What does that even mean?
Well, it suggests that our actions are judged,
Yeah.
not by some, arbitrary moral code,
Okay.
but by how necessary they are in the grand scheme of things.
So like a cosmic necessity.
Exactly.
Interesting.
And it leads us to another really important concept in Crowley's thinking.
Okay.
The idea that restriction is sin.
Restriction is sin.
Yeah, he actually equates them.
But how can that be?
Well, he's suggesting that anytime we restrict ourselves,
Yeah.
we're essentially blocking our true nature,
Okay.
our authentic selves.
So hold on, I'm a little lost.
Okay.
How can restriction be sin?
Yeah.
I mean, doesn't self-discipline require some kind of restriction?
That's a great question. And I think what Crowley's getting at is that any restriction that prevents us from fulfilling our true will,
Okay.
our unique purpose,
Yeah.
that's what's holding us back
Okay.
from becoming who we're truly meant to be.
I see.
It's not about indulging in every whim, but it's about aligning our actions
Yeah.
with our deepest desires and aspirations.
So maybe it's about figuring out which restrictions are actually helpful
Right.
and which ones are just holding us back out of fear.
Exactly.
Or, societal pressure.
Now you're getting it.
Okay, good.
And speaking of passion and purpose, there's another pronouncement
Okay.
that connects those ideas beautifully.
All right, let's hear it.
It goes, the perfection of the universe is the realization of the ideal of thy passion.
Wow, so he's linking personal passion to the perfection of the universe itself.
Exactly. It's a pretty bold statement.
It is. So say you're passionate about music.
Okay.
Crowley's suggesting that by pursuing that passion with your whole heart, you're actually contributing to the perfection of the universe.
That's the idea, is like your individual passion is just a tiny brushstroke
Yeah.
in this grand cosmic masterpiece.
That's a beautiful way to put it.
And it leads us to one of Crowley's most famous and often misunderstood concepts,
Which is?
the law of Thelema.
Okay.
Do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law.
I can already see how that could be easily misinterpreted.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
It's not about just doing whatever you want whenever you want.
Okay.
Crowley was very clear about that.
Right.
This is about aligning with one's true will,
Uh-huh.
which actually takes a lot of self-knowledge and discipline.
So not just throwing caution to the wind, but really understanding what drives you at your core
Exactly.
and having the courage to pursue that.
Precisely. And that brings us to the end of part 1 of our deep dive into Aleister Crowley.
We've encountered bleak landscapes, monstrous projections, pronouncements that challenge how we think about morality and purpose.
We have.
And we've even started to unpack the infamous law of Thelema.
It's been quite a journey so far.
And we're just getting started.
I can't wait to see what else we uncover,
Me too. Stick with us for part 2.
where we'll delve even deeper into the mysteries of the heart of the master. Welcome back to our deep dive into the heart of the master.
Okay, so we're back.
When we left off,
Yeah.
we were starting to kind of wrap our heads around
Yeah.
this concept of true will.
Right, and I'm still trying to figure out how to actually discover my true will.
Yeah.
It seems like a pretty daunting task.
It's
Where do I even begin?
Well, Crowley believed it was this journey of self-discovery.
Okay.
And he actually lays out some practical steps in the heart of the master.
Oh, does he?
Yeah, he calls them the 2 and 20 secret instructions of the master.
Okay.
But before we dive into those,
All right.
I think it's helpful to understand
Yeah.
a bit more about the context in which Crowley developed these ideas.
Okay, so let's back up a little bit.
Right.
We know Crowley was this fascinating,
Yeah.
sometimes controversial figure
Yeah.
from the early 20th century.
Huh.
But what was going on in the world back then
Right.
that might have, influenced his thinking?
Well, imagine a world that's kind of on the brink of massive change.
Okay.
You've got rapid industrialization, technological advancements, all this social upheaval,
Uh-huh.
all these traditional ways of life were being challenged.
Okay.
People were really searching for new meaning
Right.
and purpose.
So kind of like today in a way.
Exactly.
Yeah, we're living through similar times
Definitely.
with so much change and uncertainty.
And that's why I think Crowley's ideas are still so relevant.
Okay.
He was wrestling with these timeless questions about
Yeah.
who we are, why we're here, and how to live a life of meaning
Right.
in a world that's constantly changing.
So how did Crowley go about searching for those answers?
Well, he was quite the adventurer.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he traveled extensively,
Wow.
immersing himself in all these different cultures,
Okay.
spiritual traditions.
Uh-huh.
He studied Eastern mysticism,
Yeah.
ancient religions, esoteric practices.
So he was like a spiritual Indiana Jones,
Haha, yeah, I like that.
always on the hunt for hidden knowledge.
Exactly.
I can see how all that exploration must have shaped his thinking. So was it during one of these adventures that he came up with this concept of true will?
Well, it's a little more complicated than that.
Okay.
Crowley claimed that he received this profound revelation.
A revelation.
Yeah, this message from a supernatural entity
What?
while he was traveling in Egypt.
No way.
He called this entity Awas,
Awad.
and the message was transcribed into this text called the Book of the Law.
Okay, so we're talking supernatural entities now.
Uh-huh, yeah. It gets pretty wild.
Are we supposed to take this literally?
Well, whether you interpret it literally or metaphorically,
Okay.
the point is that this experience was like a turning point for Crowley.
Mhm.
And the Book of the Law really became the foundation
Okay.
for his whole philosophy of Thelema,
Right.
which emphasizes, individual will, self-discovery, and this pursuit of true will.
So we have this mix of ancient wisdom, personal experience, and maybe even a little bit of the
It's
supernatural.
all there.
No wonder Crowley's such a fascinating figure. Definitely. It's like this complexity makes his work so challenging, but also rewarding to explore.
I agree.
But okay, let's get back to those 2 and 20 secret instructions.
All right.
Remember, we're trying to figure out how to actually apply Crowley's ideas to our lives.
Right.
So are these instructions like a step-by-step guide to finding your true will?
Haha. Not quite.
Okay.
Think of them more like guidelines, reminders, or even provocations to
Okay.
kind of help you on this journey of self-discovery.
All right, give me an example.
Okay.
What's one of these instructions that speaks to you?
Well, one that stands out to me is this. Purity is to live only to the highest, and the highest is all.
Wow. Living only to the highest?
Yeah,
That sounds pretty intense.
it does.
What does that even mean in practical terms?
Well, I think it's less about a specific action
Okay.
and more about an attitude and intention.
Okay.
It's about constantly asking yourself,
Yeah.
am I living in alignment with my values?
Ah.
Am I pursuing my passions with my whole heart?
Right.
Am I contributing to something larger than myself?
So it's like setting the bar high for yourself,
Yeah,
but not in a way that's restrictive or burdensome.
exactly.
More like choosing to live a life that's truly meaningful and purposeful.
Exactly. And another instruction that I find really resonates is, find thou thyself in every star.
Find thou thyself in every star, okay?
This one really speaks to the interconnectedness of all things.
Yeah.
Crowley's reminding us that we're not separate from the universe.
Okay.
We're all part of this vast web of existence.
It's like when you look up at the stars and realize we're all made of the same stardust.
Exactly.
It's kind of comforting.
It is.
Makes you feel less alone.
And I think it challenges us to expand our sense of self,
Okay.
to see ourselves as part of something much bigger
Right.
than just our individual egos.
So these instructions are less about specific actions and more about cultivating a certain mindset,
Right.
a way of being in the world.
Precisely. And that brings us to another instruction
Okay.
that I think is really relevant today. Break down the fortress of thine individual self, that thy truth may spring free from the ruins.
Whoa, break down the fortress of myself? What does
Yeah.
that even mean?
Well, Crowley's challenging us to let go of our ego,
Uh-huh.
dismantle those walls we build around ourselves,
Oh, Yeah.
out of fear and insecurity.
And he's suggesting that our true selves are beyond those walls.
Exactly.
But how do we actually do that?
Right.
How do we break down those walls
Yeah.
without completely losing ourselves?
That's where the real work begins.
Okay.
It's about questioning our beliefs, challenging our assumptions,
Mm-hmm.
and being willing to step outside of our comfort zone.
Right.
It's about being open to new experiences,
Yeah.
new perspectives, new ways of seeing the world.
So it's not about erasing our individuality,
Yo.
but about expanding it,
Yeah.
becoming more of who we're meant to be.
Exactly. And that's a theme that you see throughout The Heart of the Master.
Okay.
Crowley is constantly challenging us to push beyond our limits,
Yeah.
to embrace change, to strive for a life of meaning and purpose.
And it sounds like these 2 and 20 secret instructions are like
Yes.
tools to help us along the way.
Exactly.
They're not a magic formula,
No.
but like a set of guidelines to keep in mind as we navigate life and all its complexity.
And all the challenges of self-discovery.
Right.
And, as we continue our ascent up Crowley's holy hill,
Yeah.
I think it's important to remember
What's that?
this is a journey, not a destination.
Oh,
There's no endpoint, no final arrival.
I like that.
It's about continually evolving, growing, and becoming more fully ourselves.
It takes the pressure off, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It does. It's not about achieving some perfect state of enlightenment.
Right.
It's about embracing the process, the ups and downs, the
Exactly.
twists and turns of life.
And finding the beauty and wisdom in each moment.
I'm ready for the next leg of this journey.
All right, let's continue.
What other treasures await us as we go even deeper into the heart of the Master?
All right, so we're back, ready to uncover even more of the secrets hidden in Crowley's The Heart of the Master.
I'm ready when you are.
Last time, we were talking about those 2 and 20 secret instructions. They were, a bit of a mix, like practical advice, but also kind of mystical riddles.
Yeah, Crowley always did have a flair for the cryptic, didn't he?
He did. But that's part of what makes exploring his work so interesting. You really have to think outside the box.
It certainly keeps you on your toes, makes you question everything.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But let's be real for a second. Some of Crowley's ideas are pretty far out there. How do we know what to take seriously?
You've got to approach his work with a discerning mind, that's for sure. Not everything's going to resonate with everyone. Question it, challenge it, and see what rings true for you. Right, like that idea we talked about, restriction is sin. Initially, I was like, whoa, that's a bit much. But after we unpacked it, it started to make more sense. It's not about rejecting all boundaries, but about figuring out which ones are really holding us back from living a more authentic life.
Exactly. And that's a huge takeaway from The Heart of the Master. You're responsible for your own growth, for figuring out what beliefs and behaviors are no longer serving you, and then having the guts to let them go.
So it's like we're not just passengers on this journey of life.
No.
We're actually the architects.
Precisely. And that brings us back to that central theme of The Heart of the Master, this idea of true will. Crowley truly believed each of us has a unique purpose, a specific role to play in this, cosmic drama.
Okay, but finding your true will, that sounds like, I don't know, a pretty big task. It's not like there's some step-by-step guidebook, right?
Well, he did give us those 2 and 20 secret instructions. Think of those as guideposts along the way.
Right.
And there's more to be found in The Heart of the Master itself. More insights on how to approach this whole quest.
Okay, I'm listening. What kind of insights are we talking about?
Well, for one, Crowley really stresses the importance of self-awareness. He's pushing us to really dig deep, examine our beliefs, our motivations, our desires.
Really get to know ourselves.
Exactly. Ask the hard questions. Be honest about the answers, even if they're uncomfortable.
So facing our shadows, getting to know ourselves on a much deeper level.
You got it. And it's not always going to be fun.
Probably not.
Crowley admits there are going to be moments of discomfort, facing those fears and insecurities.
But working through those challenges makes us stronger.
It does. It's like, how a muscle gets stronger by pushing against resistance?
Yeah.
Crowley believed willpower was the same. You have to exercise it.
So self-awareness, willpower, got it. What else do we need on this journey to discover our true will?
Crowley talks a lot about intuition, really listening to that inner voice, the one that guides you toward your true path.
Our gut feelings.
More than that, he saw intuition as a direct connection to something bigger, a source of wisdom that's beyond just logic and reasoning.
Interesting. So it's not just about thinking our way to our true will.
No.
We gotta feel it too.
Trust those gut instincts, those flashes of insight that come from a deeper place.
And then act on them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Crowley believed action was crucial You can't just sit around contemplating your true will.
Yeah.
You have to experiment, take risks, see what happens.
So it's a journey of exploration, figuring things out as you go.
Exactly. No one starts this journey with all the answers, but you have to be willing to take that first step and see where it leads. And you have to embrace the changes that come along the way.
Crowley seemed to think change was inevitable, didn't he?
Absolutely. It's a fundamental part of the universe, this constant force that drives us forward. He actually said, the mutability of the universe is the splendor of thine ingenuity.
Whoa. So our ability to change, to adapt, to be creative, it's a reflection of the universe itself.
That's a great way to put it, and it's a really important message. Especially now, everything's changing so fast. If we resist, we're just going to get swept away. But if you learn to ride those waves of change, we can tap into something much greater.
Almost like surfing, right?
Yeah.
You've got to ride the wave or you're going to wipe out.
I love that analogy. That's exactly what Crowley was getting at. We have to learn to flow with it, use that energy to keep moving forward.
I think I'm starting to see what the heart of the master is really about. It's not just about, mystical pronouncements and esoteric ideas.
No, it's not.
It's about a roadmap, a guide to a more authentic and fulfilling life.
It's about action. It's about taking that journey to discover your true will and then living it out.
We've gone deep into Crowley's world in this deep dive.
Yeah.
Bleak landscapes, monstrous projections, the law of Flema, the 2 and 20 secret instructions.
We have. It's been quite the journey.
It has. Crowley really challenges us to think differently about, everything. Ourselves, our purpose, even reality itself.
He certainly does.
Yeah.
As we wrap up this exploration, is there anything that really stood out to you? Any insights you're going to carry with you?
For me, it's that idea. Restriction is sin. It's such a strong reminder. Anything that's stopping us from being our true selves, that's a restriction. And it's holding us back from reaching our full potential. We have to break free from those limitations, whether they come from ourselves or from outside, and just, be who we're truly meant to be.
Beautifully said. And I think that's the perfect note to end on. Crowley truly believed we each have a unique true will waiting to be discovered. Where would you start looking for yours? What would be your first step on that journey? I hope this deep dive has sparked something in you, a curiosity, a desire to explore these ideas further. Until next time, keep searching, keep questioning, and keep diving deep.